Hi, everybody. Welcome to our second hour of our Vox Vomitus Marathon. I am your host, Jennifer Ann Gordon, the author of Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent, as well as the Hotel series. I am joined once again today by my Vox Vomitus vixens, Allison Martine, author of the Bourbon books, and cheers, Allison, and Trisha Rydinger McKee, the author of the Beyond series. Our special guest tonight is Mr. Simon Stephenson. He is the author of Set My Heart to Five. I also believe that you used to write for Pixar. Is that true? Oh, so we have a very fancy, fun guest with us tonight, Simon. Fancy fun. Thank you for being here. Simon, tell us a little bit about yourself so we can hear your accent.
Sure. All my embarrassing lack of one, because I'm supposed to be Scottish and I don't really have much of a Scottish one, alas. So yeah, my name's Simon Stephenson. I'm from Edinburgh in Scotland. I've had a pretty, I guess, unusual journey to this point. So I currently live in Los Angeles, California. My journey here involved I was a physician in the UK. Was my job. Did that for a number of years, but I always kind of wrote alongside. I did all the things. I started out entering all the short story competitions, and then short film got made years and years ago. I got a little bit of TV writing then. I'm really going on a deep dive here, but I lost my brother was the big event in my adult life was when I was 20. He was 27, I was 26, and that was in the tsunami in Thailand. And I wrote a memoir about that, and that came out all the way back in 2011. And it did pretty well, and it got all these amazing reviews. I think only people I'm related to bought it. Like I think that's kind of sometimes the thing with those. But it won a prize.
But it won an award.
It won a prize.
Someone else read it, unless your mom was the judge.
But it definitely. I mean, I think not. But
okay.
But you can't be sure, right?
Well, you never quite know. You see, it was best first book at the Scottish Book Awards. Who knows how many books came out that year?
Did they all have to be Scottish books, or did they allow non-Scots?
It was probably kind of tenuous. Like I think we're a proudly inclusive country. And I think if you had a minor character in your book that had once been to Glasgow on vacation, probably
close enough.
So it probably was a bigger field than I'm saying. So then what happened after that was I quit my job as a doctor because I was now going to be this big important writer because I had won a prize, and now I got to quit my job. And
that's how it goes. You win the prize, and then immediately fame and fortune as a writer.
Hand over the truckload of money, and all the rest of it. Of course, none of that happened, and but I had a little bit of a cushion. I had a little bit of money from that book, so I could take sort of 6 months out, and I wrote some screenplays, and one of the screenplays was about a depressed children's doctor who hated his job. And
that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know where that.
Where was that inspiration from there?
It popped into my head, and then the weirdest thing in the world that. People liked that script, and it opened up all these doors out here. And suddenly I came out here, and I'd gone from being like living in my friend's back bedroom in London and like not, just really struggling on every aspect of life. And I came out here, and suddenly I had like a, like work and a career. So I got a couple of screenwriting gigs, and the usual way of those is that it's very exciting, and everything's going to happen, and then of course it doesn't happen, and that's the standard course. But one good thing that happened was I got a job at Pixar, as you mentioned, and was there for a couple of years, and then at the end of that time I wrote the book that I'm currently shilling this Set My Heart to Five, and that's kind of almost brings us up to where we are. I mean, the book.
Can I see the cover?
Yeah, right?
Can I see your cover? Because I have the ARC and it's a different cover.
Is yours orange, Jen?
Mine is white and orange.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have.
I know. I'm like, oh, I like the yellow.
Alternate cover.
I have that. I have
that. That's it.
Yeah, there it is.
So that was kind of. This one is an homage to the British version, which came out a bit sooner. And so
Simon, can you juggle those 3 books?
I can barely hold up one of them. truth. But so yeah, the final one is this. It doesn't really play very well. I've had this book. It doesn't really play well on Zoom, but it's a lovely. The word, I think the word is an ombre, right? An ombre.
Oh, it's an ombre. Yeah, like an ombre.
No, apparently that's a word. I had to learn that during this process. So
I only know it when it comes to hair dye.
I was going to say, one of my writing buddies is also my hairstylist, and she's probably watching. Yes, it is an ombre. Go ahead.
I think that's right. I think and I didn't want to say it because it sounds so hopelessly sexist, but I basically never met a man who knows what that word means.
I can guarantee you my husband has no idea what that word means. He's our producer. He's watching it right now going, ombre. Thought it was a hat.
No, that would be sombrero. That's a hat. Hombre is a Spanish man, so he doesn't even speak Spanish well, but that's okay because he's Russian.
Right, exactly.
Now, Simon, I listened to it on Audible, and it had that same cover, but because mine was digital, I didn't get an ombre effect either. Is the yellow the ombre, or is it the turquoise?
That's a great disappointment. I did not know that was the case. I'm going to have to take that up with. I don't know who I'm Audible. I'll send off an email to.
I'm like, who do you fight if that
your narrator? I don't think he had any say in it.
I mean, I think those fights you don't really get a say. Like I've had this a couple of times, like little things with the book that someone's pointed out something at the Kindle, and I've said, can we maybe fix this? And even the publishers. So like I'm on reasonably big publishers in both countries that you would think would have kind of relationships with Amazon, and I think they basically have to just email help@amazon.com as well. And
this explains so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can just. I guess it's if you can do what you like, why would you? Why wouldn't you? Right? Like if I was Amazon, I would probably just have a spam filter, a help@amazon.com that goes to spam and not answer any of it. Like that's I guess.
I will say so Amazon doesn't put us all at the bottom of the algorithm. I had a sad but lovely Amazon help experience where I had to call them for a author reason, and I had a very lovely person that helped me. They couldn't help me, but he did sit on the phone and listen to me physically cry for 10 minutes, where I was like, there's nothing that can be done. And he was like, just so you know, your fans are going to find you anywhere. Obviously, your book is good. And I'm like, you don't have to say this. And it was probably the most fulfilled I have been artistically in quite some time by somebody who's literally just on a call desk, who's like, this girl's having a bad day.
But the important thing, Jen, is you had catharsis when it was done.
I did.
I'm using that word specifically. I'm waiting for Simon to react to me using the word catharsis.
I was like, that person heard me.
You felt seen, right?
I felt seen. I know, and it was such a silly thing. I was like, some of my reviews didn't transfer over to my new version of my book, and it was just an author moment where you just lose it.
But it's still important, right? It's because actually those things do make a difference, and if you've worked so God knows, getting one good review is hard enough in this world, and if you've got a few that get lost,
I know. I was like, those were the really good ones.
Yeah.
But also some of the bad
why did
ones
you transfer the ones that are not so good?
Yeah. I was happy when the bad ones got lost. I'm like, just if those 1 stars can stay gone, but if you can switch over the 5 stars that said I changed their life, that would be great. So we brought up reviews. Simon, do you read your reviews? Are you an author who is now you've set yourself above it, you don't obsess? Or are you?
Great question. I mean, I definitely would. I don't think I'm above anything. Is the obvious answer. I think I definitely it was. I was lucky to get reviewed in a couple of papers and stuff, which even that is I get how lucky I am for that to happen, and that I guess I've always felt the first book, the way in which I lost my brother, it was a tragedy, and it was a horrendous experience, and I always felt slightly guilty about writing about it at all, and I made that, but weirdly one of the sort of side effects of that is that if you write a literary memoir about that, that's a book that, you know, gets reviewed, right? Like just by nature of the subject matter. And so, you know, that book got reviewed everywhere. And then so with this book, I was like, it's weird that the New York Times haven't been in touch. And like, why haven't the Financial Times of London? They were so nice last time. Publishers, you know, had to sort of, you know, explain that that's not necessarily how it works. And, you know, we had the hook of, you know, the movies and Pixar and that stuff in the previous book, so you know that all helps a bit. But I guess the first thing is, no, I was so grateful for any of those reviews. I was sort of devouring them. I did have to get someone else to, like, the biggest review we got was in the Washington Post, and I physically couldn't read it. I had to get someone else to read it and tell me it was okay to read.
I love that. I do that. Or
you send me things and go, can you tell me? I can't even look. Can you open it? How is it? Is it all right?
I know. I'm like, I can't, I'll throw up. Or sometimes I'll open it on my computer, but like put my hand in front of it and just try to see some words. And I'm like, are those positive words? Because
so that I'm going to try that strategy. And then of course the whole other thing is, you know, the reader reviews, the Amazon reviews, the Goodreads reviews, and those ones, like, I do try and stay clear of. Like I think I like to keep track of the number. Like, I think the number is a good metric for like the people reading this book. But I kind of, you know, I'm a big fan of Yelp reviews, right? Like what one of my guilty
is it a guilty pleasure reading the bad ones?
The 1 stars, like if you go to Yelp and sort the worst, it's like amazing. You know, it's just all this, like, you know, like, restaurant was fine, but my mum called me during dinner and I was really mad. 1 star.
Right. So I love this because I was watching a comedy piece by Colin Jost, and his whole bit was about Yelp reviews, and he said a 1-star review is mostly about the person who's giving it rather than what they're reviewing. And if you're getting reviewed, I feel like he was like the worst review you can get is 2 stars, because that's probably about you. But the 1 star is always, I was reading your book, my cat died. 1 star. And you're like, my book didn't kill your cat, did it?
Didn't it though?
But didn't it though?
Yeah, like exactly. And I think that's the again, as we say, like, reviews are really important, right? They're a metric by which other people decide to read your book. And of course, like, if someone, you know, genuinely reads the book and doesn't like it and, you know, thinks it's worthy of 1 star, like, absolutely, that's
valid.
Totally valid. Yeah, so sometimes you do see those ones that are clearly, you know, there's something else going on. And also, just, I think there is that cohort of people, like I did look a bit, and you know, there's that cohort of people that, like, you know, you get the 1-star review and they say, this is the worst book I've ever read. How dare anyone have published this? You know, this writer is going to hell. Like, and then, you know, you're sort of interested, so you click on your thing, and every book they've ever read gets 1 star. Like, that average thing is 1.13. It's someone stars once in 2006.
And the only book that got a 4-star is like a self-help book, and that's like super specific, and you're like, oh, I see what's going on in your life.
I get it.
It's fine. I get what's happening.
Well, and Simon, the book that you publish now, Set My Heart to 5, is very different than the first book because it is not a memoir. And I was trying to even describe what genre it is, and it's, would you say it's science fiction? Is that even where it belongs?
Can it be science fiction, romantic comedy? Is that something?
Yeah. So welcome to the pain of my daily life. Because,
I'm right there with you. I have a book out on commission, and every day it's like, is it literary fiction? Oh, it's speculative fiction. Oh, it could be science fiction. No, it's women's fiction. I'm just like, put it on a shelf and then just tell me where to find it later. I don't really even care anymore. Just do something.
Absolutely, and it's difficult because people do make those decisions based on. And I think I had a thing on Twitter today where I think someone who runs a great book blog was looking for 3 different books, and one was they wanted like a romance one, and they wanted a thriller, and then one wild card one. And
you're the wild card.
I was say you're a wild card.
Had tweeted and tagged me in and said, "Look, how about Simon's book as the wild card?" And I wrote back, "This is perfect. So all we need to do now is make every bookstore in the nation have a wild card section of just
Yes.
that just really fit fit anywhere. Because with this one, it's funny because I sort of I was a little bit terrified of calling it or myself science fiction because I'm not really from that world. Like, have a great.
It doesn't read like a science fiction book. It doesn't. I loved the book, so this is not a slam because I love science fiction. So anybody reading it, listening to me going, "Well, wait, you love science fiction," and it's not. It's just not. That's not what it is. It doesn't read like one. It doesn't have the notes of one. But in case people didn't know, your main character is a bot named Jared.
Right. But it's also about a human experience by an unhuman character.
Yes. So where do we put it? No.
I'm with you. We'll make your own little shelf. Just build it there with little hammers and just stick your book on it and go, this is the best place for it. Just read it and you can figure out what shelf it goes on later. It's fine.
I mean, this is one difference between now and my previous book all those years ago, because back then bookstores were open and you could go and move the book around in the bookstore. You could go put the stack on the table in the front if no one was looking.
Did you do that?
And obviously, you can't do it at like your little local neighborhood one, but if you go to like the big Barnes and Noble in the mall or something, no one's keeping watch of that stuff. Like you can move it over.
Now we know. So your first book was a touching, amazing memoir, but what you're now telling us is you rigged the system by taking that book and sticking it on like every table that you could in every Barnes and Noble.
Yes, and even worse, it had no discernible effect whatsoever. I still don't think anyone bought it. So imagine if I hadn't done that, we would have had a minus number.
You would have had, I was going to say, you would have had a negative number of sales, and then when you won the book of the year for the Scottish Award, it would have been like -4 votes.
Exactly, and probably would have lost that as well.
Oh my
gosh! Someone's clearly reading these books, the one you've written now, because not only is it out there and whatever category it ends up in, it's getting made into a movie. So someone found it and said, we need this. So can you tell us about that?
Sure. I mean, again, I slightly moved it to the front of the shop there.
The front of the movie shop. Yeah. Like I walked into the movie store and I put my book in the front.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was a strategy. Here we're like, social media? No, just physically move copies of your book. Just drop them on. Well, you probably still had like a pass card to Pixar. Just dropping it. Here you go, executive.
I feel like I've been doing everything wrong.
So with this one, how the film came was I was lucky that in my other job as a screenwriter, I have worked quite a bit with these two brilliant producers who used to run this company called Big Talk, who made all Edgar Wright's movies. They made, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and all of that great stuff. Yeah, brilliant movies. And heart is right. They have great heart, those producers. And I've had something else with them for years. And it being a film, films take years to come together. And so when I finished this, like a few people said to me, "Oh, you must have written this with the idea it would be a movie," and like genuinely, I didn't. Which
how could we?
I'm just an idiot. But
and reading it, this is not a giant spoiler, but movies play a huge theme in this book, both from the character watching movies and also wanting to write movies. So how is it that it didn't cross your mind that it might be a movie? That seems
especially when you were a screenwriter. I feel like you're not telling us the story. We're getting the press release version of Simon here, where he's like, "I never thought it would be a movie."
I'm confessing my idiocy. And I think genuinely, I think it was this huge cognitive blind spot that, I'd been doing the screenwriting for quite some years, and I'd felt sort of frustrated with it. And in my heart, I always felt, hang on, I'm a prize-winning writer of prose. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. And so this was, I'm putting away all the screenwriting, and I'm going to go and write some great literature. And it's nothing to do with film. I mean, it's about film, but it's not going to be a film because it's going to be
it's literary.
Brilliant.
Sorry, you literally say interior and then describe the taco shop that you've got this guy working at. Yeah. It's written in many ways like a movie.
It's meta, Allison. It's meta.
It was very meta, but at the same time to think, this could be a movie. Just tell me, okay, with Edgar Wright, that doesn't mean we're going to have Simon Pegg playing Jared, are we? Because
alas, I don't know. I would. I wouldn't want to guess. I know that I think they like I've worked with them both a bit, and I think they're pretty separate these days. I think they're both, creative geniuses in their own way, and I'm sure, they will collaborate again in the future. I don't have any inside information that it would be this.
Yeah, well then never mind.
But how it happened was, so I knew Edgar's producers, and I, gave the manuscript to them, and they liked it and gave it to him, and he liked it. And as you probably know, the whole movie industry is just predicated around directors and what they like and what they don't like. And Edgar's obviously, an incredible director who also is just someone who, can get his movies made. And so he's also, though he's a busy guy, and he always has a few projects on the docket. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But we just they always say, don't get too excited until the cameras get rolling. And I guess that's true at any time, but particularly now in this coronavirus world, who knows? Who
knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, when I hear about a new season of something, I'm going, when did they film this? They can't be filming it now. Are they filming it now? They're not supposed to be filming anything now, but we're still getting new stuff. So
I feel like a lot of times, like, spouses are kind of like shipped in to like do close-ups where like they're like touching each other. This is how the soap operas are doing it, and I say this only because I've researched it. That is how the love scenes are being filmed.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, like a lot of my friends here work kind of on the crew side, and they haven't been working, but the past month they seem to be sort of like, edging back to work. And someone I knew was working on the commercial, and I was like, well, how does it work? And she was like, oh, we just get a rapid test every morning. And I was like, what? Rapid? I can't get, no one else, people who work in a hospital can't get a rapid test. They didn't even know that there was.
So, guys, we need to have our commercials made, so we're going to get the rapid test to the best.
So I will say, I know a lot of people I live in the Northeast who work in the medical industry, and they don't get rapid tests. But then I also know people who may have more money even than the people in the medical industry, and they vacationed and they are able to get rapid tests. And I'm not judging anything.
I might be judging a little bit.
But like, something's fishy.
Yeah, I mean, we can judge the system, right? Like individuals, if they can get one. But clearly the system, there's something wrong with our society if that's...
You can say this because you are technically from another country. Are you a citizen? Do you vote?
No, I'm a...
Oh, you're so lucky.
And I'm on very thin ice.
I'm sorry. I'm like, you're so lucky.
You're so lucky that you're not from here.
Can you take me with you back wherever you go? You have to flee.
Own Brexit and go on back.
I mean, unfortunately, and Brexit is happening in about...
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry for your...
If you've ever seen... Did you see the movie The Children of Men? Did you remember
Yes.
that?
Oh, sorry.
That's basically what I didn't vote for it, but that's what they voted for, and it's going to be a problem.
It's a shit show. Yeah. I just said it. So I have something to ask you about before I toss this over to Trisha and Allison. Did you win an award from Teen Vogue?
No, oh my God, is that are people taking that?
It's everywhere. It seems serious, but I was like, this has to be like a hilarious thing from the press release. But is it true? Why are you listed as like Teen Vogue's sexiest man? I don't think it's that, but it's something like that.
I'm listed as it's my Twitter bio, and I wrote it myself, and I was trying to be funny. And,
I love it
because I feel like every writer always has to have in their bio that like I was voted one of the top 10 spellers in my elementary school or something. That it was sort of all forced into this crazy competition with each other. That it's all I was shortlisted, I won the award, and great. Like I'm definitely guilty of bragging about my small things too. But I sort of just thought it'd be fun to have a different and to start.
I love it.
But to
so
start,
we all buy it. We're all like, that's amazing that you're one of Teen Vogue's top 10 Scottish authors with takers over 40.
I know. I was like, I didn't know Teen Vogue had a book review.
I don't even think it said it was one of the best authors, because if I'm reading it here, it says voted one of Teen Vogue's top 10 cantankerous Scottish writers over the age of 40 with a first novel about a movie-loving android. I mean, that's really specific. How many other people?
But I feel like Teen Vogue would do that. So I feel like it's on the nose.
I might need to change it because here's how much of a neurotic writer I am. The first draft, which was up for a month or two, was I was voted one of the National Enquirer's top 10 something or other, and then I found want to be associated with that, like, because I was trying to be funny, and I thought maybe I don't want people to mistake that. And I thought, well, Teen Vogue, no one will think that Teen Vogue have any interest in me. But alas, I may have got that wrong, because I guess you just glance it on your phone, don't you? And it's like, oh, Teen Vogue.
You glance Teen Vogue, and I think I saw
show.
it on something else too, like a rando bio someplace where it was like winner of the Teen Vogue, blah blah blah, and I was like, I thought that was a joke, and that's why I had to ask it.
Yeah, no,
the hard-hitting questions.
I'm gonna
Teen Vogue, do you read it?
Yeah, I'm going to revisit it, but I'll have to think of something else that isn't funny to put there now. So,
God, what could it be that's not as funny as Teen Vogue?
Yeah, it's tricky.
Well, if it was like National Geographic, and then it had something about
National Geographic,
just because National Geographic doesn't have lists of top anything. It's like, oh, are you the most well-traveled? No, I'm writing movies. Okay, that makes a lot of sense for National Geographic.
Yeah, I think National Geographic might be
it's your next demographic.
We do that. Well, and those who don't know, Jen's really good. Well, she doesn't think so. Jen is very skilled at things like Photoshop, because she's actually a graphic artist. She will make you that cover. So,
I can do it.
We'll get it done.
Do it.
If you need a fake magazine cover of you winning something for Teen Vogue or National Geographic, I can do it.
Oh, brilliant.
I do it when I'm just relaxing. When I'm not writing, I'm just like, let's just do some stupid Photoshop.
Well, I will bear that in mind, and I will try and pick up something good to come back to it.
I would love that.
Yeah.
So, Teen Vogue winner of Everything for Everyone. I'm going to toss this over to Trisha and Allison if you have any pertinent questions. Before pertinent, they don't
My
need to be
questions
pertinent.
are never pertinent. It doesn't really matter.
I know. I was like pertinent. Ugh. Sorry, I said that word. Everybody who watches our show every week.
I did want to ask. We usually ask this. How involved are you at the beginning of the process? Do you plot out, or is it pretty much just go as you write?
Sure. So
I'm drinking.
Classically, I'm not a huge plotter. Like, I love all the, don't get it right, get it written, all of that stuff. I love to just sit down and bash it out. That's usually served me pretty well for screenplays. But I guess the thing about a screenplay is they're pretty short. But in all seriousness, they're sort of 10 to 15,000 words long, and a novel is mine is like 90,000 words or something.
Wait, a screenplay is only 10 to 15,000 words long?
I know. This is what I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I've never written a screenplay. I don't think I've ever actually seen one. Even they'll already take me out of California for that, but I didn't realize it was that short.
Yeah, and it's one of the dark secrets, right? It's like, so you can bash them out pretty quickly, and
I think I could do that in 2 weeks if I had to.
I think you could, and I think you should.
No, I'm doing it.
I got this.
Got it done.
So yeah, with that, my model tends to be that, because if you bash it out and it's a disaster, well, yeah, you've lost 2 weeks or a month, which is terrible, but like it's not the same as spending 6 months on a novel and realizing halfway through it's not going anywhere. So yeah, I tend to be kind of like that. I think with the novel, I did have like a bit more. I knew where he was going to end up, and I knew like geography is always really important to me. Like place really helps me write. Like I always have a sort of quite strong sense of place. And with this, like, I kind of knew he was going to start in the Midwest, and he was going to come to Los Angeles and end up in San Francisco. And that kind of gave me like my my roadmap to follow.
Yeah. Like a mental map.
Yeah. So that was probably the key difference with this one was I probably did know a little bit more. And I think I knew the endings, but I knew what he was going to do at the end. Because kind of the genesis of this is normally ideas are really difficult for me. Like they take, I have them, and for 5 years they trouble me, and I think, well, that's not a good one, and eventually, you kind of beat it into shape, and some sort of random epiphany happens, and you think, oh, I can make some of that. But with this one was quite unusual. So I was actively casting around for a novel. Like I knew that, you know, I wanted to get back to my wonderful prose writing, and
your award-winning prose writing.
There we go.
Excuse me, award-winning.
So I'd kind of been thinking that, you know, I knew that I'd had all these adventures in the past few years of, you know, moving to California and working in the film industry a bit and all of that stuff. And I had this, the other thing that had happened was because I was in San Francisco there, I'd lived in the Bay Area for a couple of years. And it was this really weird experience where, you know, it's one of my favorite cities in the world. I'd, you know, growing up in Scotland even, I was always highly aware of it. I loved the Beat generation. I always thought I was going to be living in San Francisco writing beat poetry by the time I was 24. And of course, I got to mid-30s and I hadn't even ever been there. And then this opportunity came to go there. But the sort of surprising thing for me was just like how, and I think it was happening everywhere. It was, you know, because this was 2016, 2017, like how weirdly futuristic the world suddenly became in the, you know, we could suddenly order food on our phone and like there could be a car that could come and pick you up and just all of this stuff that hadn't quite happened. And then in the Bay Area, like every second person I encountered, you know, was working in tech.
Yeah.
And doing something with this like very benign sounding, like, you know, they were working on an app. Oh, that sounds great. What's it for? Oh, it's home euthanasia.
Yeah, like,
sure.
Yeah, that's an app.
That's so
I love this because so my husband's family, they live in the Bay Area. They're Russian, but they're tech. So they live in San Francisco. And every time we visit them, I'm just astounded just by the people on the street. Everybody has the fanciest jobs I've ever heard, but they always say like, I'm just working on an app. It does this thing where like if you glance at a menu, it knows what you want, and then it's delivered to you in 20 minutes. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? Like, I went to school for theater. How does that happen with an eyeball? And they're like, oh, it's just an algorithm.
And that nonchalance, right, that they have, that it's just, of course we do this. Like, of
course, it's just so easy. We know if you stare at a Panera menu, what you're going to order because the way your pupils dilate. And I'm like,
yeah, it's the oddest thing. And then and it kind of culminated for me with I stayed one night in a hotel, and it was a super ordinary, like it was like whatever the cheapest version of the Hyatt is, like the.
I'm just gonna say cheap Hyatt.
Yeah, like
hotel beige.
Hyatt bedroom, exactly. Yeah. Hyatt hostel, like. I got in late. I'd come back from the UK, and I'd forgotten what I had, and I was feeling so lazy that I called down to reception and said, "Look, can someone maybe send up some toothpaste?" And they said, "Sure." And like 10 minutes later, the doorbell on my room rang, and I opened the door to a robot, like a sort of like a cylindrical robot.
No.
And it
flipped
open to reveal a thing of toothpaste, and it started beeping. So I took the toothpaste, and then the head closed, and it sort of started to trundle off back down the corridor. And so I, of course, did what I think any rational human would do, was I followed it.
I was like, write it down, film it.
And I filmed it all the way back down the corridor, and we got to like the elevator hall, and I guess it wirelessly summoned the elevator, and it got, it entered I got in the elevator with it, and we had this very awkward elevator ride where I was kind of filming it and it wasn't really doing anything. And we got down to the reception, and it, trundled back and just parked itself beside the desk. And I went over to the concierge and I was like, I think your robot just brought my toothpaste to my room. And he looked at me just like, like I was the crazy one.
Yeah, and, of course the robot brought your toothpaste.
Yeah, like why have you come down here? What was the point in me sending this thing? We were just going to come down here anyway. And so I kind of had this thing of like, we're in the future already, and it's it's not the future. It's not hoverboards. It's just robots bringing you toothpaste.
Oh.
Was it, Simon? Was it because he brought you toothpaste? Is that how Jared ends up as a dentist?
I mean, it's a really good question. I haven't
Good question.
Yeah.
Like toothpaste.
Oh, Simon's like, yes, that's exactly the.
But
In Simon's next interview, he's going to be like, the inspiration for this, for him being a dentist, is going to be.
It probably is. I hadn't made that connection because the other thing is that, you know, because I was a physician, you know, physicians and dentists, there's always like a slight, you know, wait, you guys just do the mouth and you earn so much more money than everyone else. How does that work? So there's always.
That's why only humans can be doctors. I see what you did there.
Right. So yeah, I was probably just, you know, getting some revenge on our dentist friends.
Yeah.
So that had all happened, and I kind of knew I was going to write something futuristic-y. And then my day job at the time was at Pixar, and you know, their movies, of course, are famous for the emotion. And the reason for that, and I don't think I'm giving away any trade secrets, is, you know, they work really hard at that. They really pay attention to how films generate emotion and, you know, what works and what doesn't. And, you know, they try and tell sort of truthful, emotional stories. And so basically for 2 years, I spent all day, every day thinking about emotion in films. And, you know, so I was thinking, how, you know, what novel can I write? And this has never happened to me before, but you know, at some point, I remember it so clearly. It was a Saturday afternoon. And I was, you know, as I had been doing for months, thinking, what am I going to write this? What am I going to write about? And this phrase, Android screenwriter, popped into my head. And I thought, oh, that's maybe that is it. And kind of I had this thing, which I haven't had, you know, I had it kind of with the thing about my brother, but I've so rarely had it in life of knowing that, oh, this is the thing I'm going to write. Like, and this one I'm actually going to, I'm going to finish this. This is a novel.
It's it.
This is it. It's a novel that you're going to finish. I love it.
Yeah, which was a really rare thing. And I would probably caution that, like, that usually doesn't happen for me. And if you don't have that thought, to anyone watching, like, don't worry about it. You know, you should still, I read this great
article. Just write. Right.
Yeah, because I read this great article by Jeff Tweedy today, the guy from Wilco. I don't know if you've seen this. He's written a book about writing songs, and it's called like How to Write a Song or something. But it was excerpted in the Guardian today, and he has his whole thesis is that it has nothing to do with inspiration. It just has to do with just make yourself do it. And he tells this story about, you know, their big record, and the record label said there wasn't a single, and he was like, don't worry, I've got a single, just book me, you know, a studio and, you know, all these musicians and we'll do it. And he said he, you know, ended up writing it on the way to the studio because he just had to. It was just, you know, he had to.
Happen.
But anyway, that's I guess a very long way of saying it was a little bit planned out from the idea, but yeah, mostly I just wrote and see where it took me. But I wish there's probably a more economical way. I always feel like the people that plan things very well, maybe it's less work.
So no, I don't think it's less work, because one of my good friends is a plotter, and she has all these things laid out, and it still requires you to bang through each scene and everything. And sometimes you plan for something and then you write it and it doesn't have that feel, and it's like, oh, why not? But I think all three of us, we are all just total pantsers. So yeah, I know for me, I've spent the last couple months working on revisions for something, and now I'm like, okay, blank computer, let's start writing again. I want to do that. Okay, blank computer. Okay. And I know I'm going to have to sit down and start writing and let it happen, because I'm not a plotter and trying to force myself that way. Like, I had to do an outline for this, and I was going, what does an outline look like? I haven't done one of these since college or maybe law school. And I'm sitting there looking at a completed novel and then putting it back into an outline, and I'm going, this is definitely backwards, but that's okay, because that's my process and I'm sticking with it.
I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. So
there's a better one. I'm open to it.
There might be a better one, but maybe not better for any of us that are here. I think we always have to find who we are as writers and artists. I have been taking an amazing class with an incredible instructor, an incredible author, Diane Zinna. And in her last session with us, she showed us her outline for how she writes. And it was so incredible that I said, I'm going to try outlining. And, well, I didn't. I literally just, because it was amazing. She was like, I outline and then I do a speed writing thing. And it was amazing. So she would outline and then she would say, I'm going to take 40 minutes and I'm going to write this, because she knew what she was going to write. So I stared at my blank computer screen and thought, I'm going to outline. And I did not. And then I said, screw it, I'm just going to do the timed writing because I kind of know what's going to happen. But it still worked very well. And I never would have done a timed writing thing because that's not how I process. I try to like go really slow and feel all the feelings and just like emote. And then, whoa, forgot I had headphones in.
You had too much emoting there.
I know, too much emoting.
Chill.
But I did something that I would never do, which was speed write. But I don't know if I could ever bring myself to outline unless I was being physically forced.
Physically forced, right here.
There you go. Yeah, maybe I need someone to physically force me so I can at least try it. Have you seen J.K. Rowling does these amazing she's published a few of them, like for her book. She has just these incredible like grids of like all the.
To me, that looks like the way like police hunt a serial killer, which I love. In like that, like a whiteboard with Post-its and strings.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be that writer, but every time I try, I have a panic attack and have to take a Xanax.
Well, and I think it also depends on the kind of book you're writing, because I'm in a Discord. I only recently learned what Discord was, but I'm in a Discord with other science fiction authors, and most of them have these elaborate worlds, and they're juggling planets, cultures, customs, languages, timelines, all this kind of stuff, mythology. And if you don't have it really plugged in, you will get lost. That's not how I write. And it's not the kind of science fiction I do. And so for me, I'm like, how am I going to get lost doing that? It's not where my world is. And I would say, Simon, your book is set in what, 2054?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's he doesn't need to have this crazy grid. The map you have is the geography starting in Ypsilanti and taking us over to California. And I'm pretty sure we can get that from the National Geographic.
Which I will create the cover for, which you have just won National Geographic's Author of the Year.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm thrilled.
Yes, I'm announcing that. I feel like we're going to get a cease and desist from National Geographic saying you cannot just award somebody.
If we make it a category of Scottish writers, focusing on Android filmmakers, I think that you're a shoo-in, Simon, for that one right there.
I mean, we might need to add some more categories, actually. It might need to be like living in Los Angeles County.
Okay.
Los Angeles County within like a certain like year bracket from like 2019 to 2021 during pandemic times.
Yeah.
And Simon, did this book come out during the pandemic? Were we already in lockdown when it got released?
Yes, but way worse in the UK, because it came out in the UK in like, I want to say May.
Okay.
The height. It was like, you know, people were scared to even like phone each other in case coronavirus.
On the internet.
It can crawl through the phone lines.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that'd be terrifying, wouldn't it?
Somebody write that down.
Yeah. So, and then I think the problem was like events and stuff. Like this is wonderful, but like I think debut novels, they say like, you know, a lot of it is like hand selling and like, you know, I don't necessarily me having events, but even like the publishers have their sales reps that go to bookstores and try and convince people to put them on the table at the front of the shop, and
so you don't have to do it yourself.
Yeah, and I was able to do that. The shops were closed. So yeah, I think it was a pretty tough moment, and lots of books got postponed, and they all postponed to this one day in September where like 400 books were launched in the UK that day. So I think I think what's happened, though, my understanding it is that like it's been a real bonanza for booksellers during the pandemic, but mainly for like really established writers. Like I think how I had it explained to me is people who sort of maybe aren't huge readers have got into reading. But of course, you know, you would read, you know, big famous name writer.
You're going to read Stephen King. Yeah, you're going to read Stephen King first. You're going to read The Stand because everybody thinks that's what we're living through.
Mother Abigail agrees with you.
Mother Abigail agrees.
Well, and the reason I asked is all of us had our debut novels released. Like Jen's came out just before the lockdown.
Trisha's a week before.
During the lockdown. And so just the people we would normally see in our daily lives, like I had people who are saying 6 months later, wait, you released a book? And if they're not on social media, they don't know because they haven't seen me. And I just stopped existing. So that's kind of how it works in pandemic.
So brutal, isn't it? Because it's hard enough at the best of times. You know, and this year just hasn't been
best of times.
The best of times.
Best of times, it's the worst of times. I will say this: if it wasn't for the pandemic, we wouldn't have this show and be talking to you right now, Simon. So thank you for kind of like meeting us here in our space, our weird bourbon-y space where we're like, hey, come be on our show. We'll talk about your book. And you're like, yes, I will do that because I did not have a good book launch because there was a pandemic.
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled to be here with you. Let's compare notes on that. Like how, I guess I'm hoping that I don't know what like did we just miss the boat a bit with the pandemic? Do we just have to concentrate on our next book now, or?
We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
So I'll say my debut novel came out February 24th, and I had literally just come home from a vacation in Europe, and I was like, "Oh, my book's out! I'm so fancy!" And then, literally a week later, everything shut down, and I was like, but what about my book signings and all of the times I wanted to do things? And so that didn't happen. And then, but that's fine. It's safer. That book went on, it won an award, So I'm like, oh, the money trucks should come. The money trucks, or at least like the trucks of people going, I will buy your book. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's still not really happening, but it's happening in a way. It's just, and I think I had 1 week of my book is out and there's no quarantine, but Trisha and Allison both had their books literally debut mid strict lockdown.
Yeah, and I will say it was kind of funny because I used to think, okay, well, by the time the second book comes out, everything will. No, the second book came out in September. We're still in lockdown. I'm not even holding my breath now for book 3 is due out Valentine's Day. Will we still be in lockdown? Probably. Like there's a picture of me at the bookstore with my books wearing the mask. And I'm like, I'm smizing with my eyes because my face is covered in the bookstore with my book. But I mean, that's the best you can do. And I remember it was really one of those stupid, really girly, materialistic, just really superficial nonsense, but I needed an author photo. I didn't know, okay, how am I supposed to do this on my own? I'm not one who is able to do my own hair and makeup, and one of my dearest writing partners is also my hairstylist, and she's giving me tips over the phone. Okay, if you stand like this and you do this and blah, blah, I'm like, you're supposed to be here to help me, but we're in lockdown, so I have to just pretend I'm not a hot mess, but I'm a hot mess, so what are you going to do?
I feel like this has bonded a lot of authors together, though, because there's us, the Vox Vomitus Vixens, and most of our guests that have come on this show. Everybody's kind of bonded in this. Oh, my book came out. It's a lockdown, and we're making the best of it because it's our new normal, and we can reminisce about the before times, as our previous guest today said. The before times. And but we're making the best of it. I know we're making the best of it because we're talking to you, Simon. And
yes,
you guys are making the best of it because you made this amazing thing together. It's incredible.
And the three of us have never met in real life, but we all met because our books got published roughly in like the same kind of window of time, and we just met through Facebook, like through Facebook groups. And it clicked.
In the world. Amazing.
Yeah, Jen and I were beta readers for each other last year. And I remember when her book was coming out, I'm like, I know an author now because I was so amazed because I literally had just been reading this and there was this back and forth because, as she mentioned, she went off to Europe. So I had sent her my manuscript and she had sent me hers and I read it and I gave her feedback. And then
I was drunk in Europe.
And I was like, well, so much for that. And she comes back, I didn't ghost you, sorry. I was in Madrid, all this nonsense. And then the really silly thing was at that time I had written science fiction and that was the manuscript I gave her. And then I did one of these and like, maybe don't read this book. And I gave her my romance novel. So I ended up having her do that. And that's the first one I ended up getting published. So weird stuff happens. You never know.
And then we met Trisha, and together, like the three of us have just been on this like weird, okay, this is what happens when you have your debut novel come out during a quarantine.
Sure, but I mean, it's great that you built this whole thing. Like, I mean, many of us just, went and
just drink.
Yeah, so this is.
We did that too. This is why we drink while we do our show. We're like,
they're not exclusive.
But Simon, to us, this is incredibly beneficial to like meet people who are at like a different level than we are. So bow down to you, Mr. Teen Choices, sexiest man alive.
Absolutely not. Like seriously, I think as writers, the world sort of like institutes all these hierarchies, right? And it's like, and we sort of have to play along with it because it's how it's so difficult to get an audience that we all end up sort of like scrambling over each other and all the rest of it. And like as we've seen today, like it's all just luck, right? Like that we talk about like we all read and write all these articles about like how to write and what to do and stuff, and no one ever talks about just this like this massive amount of luck that like so one person liked my script about the depressed doctor, like literally one person. No one in London read it. They all read it and were like, why are you writing a set in America? It's and in truth, this is genuinely true. My agent at the time, I showed him this script and he dropped me. He said I don't.
He dropped you?
Yeah. And then one person out here, so someone's assistant, because obviously it's the assistants that read things, and liked it and saw some potential in it and shared it with the other assistants, and suddenly I had the beginnings of a career, which then led to I got a meeting at Pixar and I got a job at Pixar, and like I think I kind of feel like in these conversations we do just have to have like a bit more of awareness of just the luck, because we all work incredibly hard, and it's an impossible like just a super impossible thing to do to have a book published at all. So I think we're all absolutely in the same boat here.
Oh gosh, Simon, we love you. I hate to cut this short. We've been at like 52 minutes, and
it got dark here in California.
I was like, I've never seen it dark where Allison lives.
We usually record at 3, so I don't turn on the light, and so I'm sitting here. I would have to get up and go mess with lights, and I'm like, you can see my face. I just don't have hair anymore. It's all right.
Really, I'm only 50 miles north of you, haven't I? And I think it's darker.
My blinds are closed. If I open the blinds here.
Allison's in the closet, like in like a physical like walk-in closet.
Here, is that better? I got a little bit. I just turned the lights on. Yeah, and it's also which way I'm facing, but the light's still out there.
We're good. Simon, we would love to have you back if you're willing to come back.
Anytime.
Anytime. Love this. Do you play Dungeons and Dragons by any chance?
I don't. I mean, is it too late to learn?
No. So
I know.
None of us really play, but I have this like idea to do like a special where we have like really funny, fun authors, and somebody teaches us how to play Dungeons and Dragons. So.
Always wanted to learn, so that would be great.
And you have the right accent.
It's good. I can put on I have a wizard costume in the back as well, so I can.
Shut up.
That's required. Yeah,
that is required. That was the other requirement. I was going to message that to you separately, but fine. Simon's going to be in a wizard costume, everybody. Eventually, when I'm like, maybe Matt Ruff is our dungeon master.
He already volunteered.
I know, but that's why I'm like, I'm just going to say it again because I feel like legally, if I say it 3 times, it has to happen. Like Beetlejuice or like saying Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary.
Simon, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting up with us for our, I can't read that. That's very
Elisa von Schimmelman has said, thanks, Simon. You definitely deserve the Nat Geo Scottish author living in LA during the pandemic of the year. Thanks for sharing.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you very much, Alicia. That's wonderful.
That is. So now you've been officially nominated by somebody who is not involved with National Geographic. So I can make the cover for you in a non-official term.
Perfect.
Allison's a former lawyer, so she is nodding yes. She said we're all fine. Simon, thank you.
Tell the California bar I agreed to any of this.
Everybody who's watching this, you can see Simon's website underneath. Scrolling, please buy Set My Heart to 5 and tune in next week for our next episode of Vox Vomitus. This has been a copywritten podcast from the Global Authors on the Air Network. We want to thank Roman Sorotin, our producer, and Pam Stack, our executive producer. This is what happens when I talk for 2 hours straight. Thank you to my vixens. Thank you to Simon. Thank you to earlier tonight, Sean Cosby. We've never done a double header before. And it was great because I had 2 bourbons instead of 1.
Jen, you say this is what happens when you talk for 2 hours straight. This is what happens when you drink for 2 hours straight.
I know. That's the problem. I know. Everyone's like, are you going to do another drink for the second show? I'm like,
yeah.
That's the shtick. Sorry, Simon. So anyways, everybody, thank you. If you are in the United States and celebrating a holiday, please do it safe and inside your homes with only your household. That is my public service announcement.
Nice.